Alrighty, hello, Alex with you here again. Today I wanted to show you guys my other chess set. This is the 1852 Paulsen Series Chess Set. The pieces were actually purchased separately. The board you can see here is the one that I did my previous video on. This is the Elm, Burl, and Bird's Eye Maple Superior Traditional Chess Board with the square size of 2.5 inches. So when I purchased the pieces, I was given the option of buying a box, and this is the type of box that I got. I did pay a little bit of extra, but I figured I wanted a box that would keep all the pieces separate, so that way they don't knock into each other, and less likely that they were going to scratch up. All in all, let's go ahead and open the box. There are 34 pieces total, 2 queens per each side. That way you don't have to flip your rook upside down or something like that to play as a second queen. So it's a nice complete chess set. It's pretty heavy. The light side, as you can see here, is the antique boxwood variation, and then the dark side, as you can see here, is the genuine ebony, which is really nice and dark, as we will see in the individual pieces. Like I said, the box didn't come specifically for these pieces, but they came for pieces that were about the size of 4.4 inch king. So everything kind of fits in there nice and snug. Nothing, as you're walking around with the box, nothing really rattles or anything like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the individual pieces. As you can see here, here's the knight. We'll take a look at the dark side, and then we'll also take a look at the light side. The knight here, if you take a look closer, the teeth are just kind of like one row. They're not separated, which is no big deal. But I actually really like the form of this particular knight compared to some of the other chess pieces. Some knights where the head might be tilted too far down. This one's kind of a little bit more neutral. You could say it looks a little bit aggressive, but I feel like overall it's kind of has a neutral set. And we'll take a look at the white piece. The white piece will look the same. Some of the chess sets actually make the knights to where the light knights will look different from the dark knights. But as you could see, overall fairly detailed, very well polished, and the wood is very dense. The underside is billiard cloth. There's no separation or anything that I could see on the cloth underneath. Here you can see on top that little red crown. That basically denotes that this would be a king's side knight. The rook gets the same type of crown on the king's side. So one of the rooks has a red crown, and one of the knights has a red crown. It used to be back in the day that basically it helped with the notation. Here's the light rook. You could see also fairly well polished. I think that the stain that's used on this antique boxwood makes it even more shiny overall. So you could tell there's not much variation. Except the teeth here look a little bit more serrated, like they're individual teeth. So that makes it a little bit more detailed. But other than that, pretty much the same overall, same shape, same size. It's not that much different. On the website, they say that these have been hand carved, which is really very impressive, I would say. I definitely couldn't hand carve something like this, but overall, really, really nice, pretty knights. The eyes are kind of there too. Very nice detail. Let's take a look. I'll compare them together here. Overall, very, very symmetrical. Not a whole lot different. The nostrils are kind of pointing upwards a little bit on both pieces, and the shape is very kind of slender overall. So I'm very pleased with the shape. I looked through a lot of different chess sets when I was trying to make my decision what I wanted to purchase, and this one is kind of, I was looking for something modest, not too aggressive, so that way it wasn't distracting from the game. It didn't feel like it was way overdone. But there you go, guys. That's the knight. Very, very nice looking pieces overall. So next we'll go ahead and take a look at the rooks. Now the rooks, as you can see here, only one of the rooks has that red stamp, the king's stamp on it. And back in the day, that stamp was used to basically notate easier. Like if you had two rooks on the same file and you needed to denote which rook needed to move where, you could simply just say the king rook. So that way there was no confusion later on when you wanted to replay it. So fairly normal. It's not too tall. It's not too thin, in my opinion. The top, there's a lot of variety as far as how the top looks on a rook. And this one looks okay. I feel like it's nice and sturdy piece. The shape is overall aesthetic. I got a piece of fuzz here on the bottom. The light rook looks just about the same. You could see that stamp in there. It's not just drawn, it's kind of stamped in there. So that way it's less likely to wear off in the future. But just kind of a very standard type of rook overall. These pieces, when I got them initially, the wood is so polished, both the light and the dark side, that they don't even look like they're made out of wood. Especially the black ones look kind of almost like they're made out of some kind of a dense plastic or something. But if you look further, it's like, yeah, this is wood. So really nice pieces overall, as you could tell here. Really nice. I find that since I've played, there's been no scratches or anything. The wood being this dense, it's less likely to scratch up or break or crack or anything like that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bishop. Now bishops too, in different chess sets, they'll come in different forms. This particular one has a cut at the top that's pretty wide, and then the little tiny ball on the very top of the bishop's kind of cut in half. So that's a little unique, because I've seen varieties where the ball is complete. I've seen also where the cut's been a lot more slender. So this one's a little bit. It's, in my opinion, I like it. I don't like when the cut on the top is too slender or too symmetrical. Here you could see the way that it's cut. It also looks like it bevels, so that's nice too. Billiard cloth as usual. Here's the light one. Same thing, pretty wide cut. And like I said, it's not, when it comes out, it's not coming out super sharp. So it almost feels like everything's kind of a little bit rounded. It makes it look nice, in my opinion. Overall, very, very sturdy pieces, very, very nice. I went with the antique boxwood because I initially looked at the regular boxwood, but it was too light. So I wanted to have something that would kind of be a little bit contrasty with the light squares of the board. Plus, I really like the antique boxwood feel to it. It looked nicer, in my opinion, kind of like it's been vintage. So that's the bishop, you guys. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the queen. Queen's a pretty big, heavy piece. Here we can see on top. Now the queen's top part here, the crown's very modest on this particular set. A little sharp, not too sharp, but just a tiny bit sharp, but very, very modest. I don't necessarily know if a bigger crown would be better, but overall it's nice. The crown on the top of the queen's pretty small, but the piece overall seems very symmetrical, and I feel like pretty well made. The top, you can see, is not super polished, but definitely I think they didn't polish it as much just because they were afraid they were gonna like dull the crown a little bit. Billiard cloth. Here's the light one. Oh, and now another thing, that when they process this antique boxwood, I think they lacquer it or something, You could see there's like imperfections and stuff, like almost like smudges or dirt that's been sort of impressed to make it feel like it's been played for many times. But yeah, very pretty piece, both light and dark. Really nice queen overall. All these pieces are pretty heavy. And there's how the top looks. The corners there are a little bit sharp, but not too bad. So, and all of the pieces are really well balanced. Like they don't feel like they're bottom heavy or top heavy or anything. It's just they're all pretty heavy overall, but they're not asymmetrically heavy. Here's the king. Now all the other pieces have the billiard cloth, and the king has English leather on the underneath. So the top of the king's a little bit rounded off. The very top is the usual king. They have them in different varieties, but this is how this one looks. And this is going to be the biggest piece pretty much as far as weight and height. Nothing fancy to this king. I like that everything's kind of rounded off a little bit. I don't like the other pieces. Some of the other pieces are really sharp. Here we can see the Camaratta Signature Series. I actually ended up getting this last year for Christmas. They were having discounts on these, and I ended up getting the chess set and the box. I think I ended up paying about $700 for everything. So, and I'm really quite happy with, because I already purchased the board prior to that. So here's the light king, about the same. Like I said, the top hat here is, you could see that it's rounded off. It's not super sharp. And oh, by the way, you could see the F Camaratta USA right down here, and it's kind of carved into the piece, and it's also carved into the piece on the black one, same way. So really nice. Yeah, all the other pieces come with the regular billiard cloth, and then the kings, they come with this English leather underneath. But overall, all the pieces feel really nice in my opinion. Actually, the billiard cloth moves, like when you move the pieces, the billiard cloth slides a little bit easier on the board. The leather is a little bit like you have to actually pick up the king, and which is what you would probably do in the game anyways. You would probably pick him up and move him to the next piece when he's in danger or whatever. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pawns. The pawns are okay. I feel like overall, this is going to be the smallest piece. The top ball, I feel like is fairly symmetric, fairly proportional to the size of the pawn in general. I've seen some pawns where the top ball is really tiny, and I've seen some that they're a little bit taller than they need to be. Also, the proportion of the base to the neck seems to be pretty symmetrical overall. So it creates for a fairly aesthetic pawn. Now, even though this is the smallest piece, it's still pretty heavy. Here's the light pawn. It's also about the same. Nothing really different. I wonder if you knock the piece over, the pawn over, if that ball would break off. I'm not really sure. Possibly with time, but overall very nice. Even the pawns have been given the detail and the polishing and everything. So they did a really good job, in my opinion. If we take a look, I'll show you guys in comparison. The two pawns together look about the same. Same height, approximately same weight, same. I would probably say the light ones are a little bit more polished, but same proportions, pretty much. So those are the pieces. Like I said, pretty nice, light and dark. This is the actual board. Like I said, it's not specifically made for this exact set, but it's made for kings that are about 4.4 inches in height. This is how it looks arranged on the board. We've seen the same picture here in the beginning. You have the two extra queens there. I feel like on the board that this set looks really nice, especially on this particular board, because it the dark pieces are really contrasted with the board nicely. And as I was telling you guys in my previous video, one of my pet peeves is that I don't necessarily like when the pieces blend in. This is how it looks from the side here too. And overall, the pieces look fairly well. As far as the size of the pieces, they look pretty good. They don't look too big or too small, because if you do a lot of the reading, it's some of the people, they'll say if the pieces are too small, they don't look aesthetic, but if they're too big, they can be looking very crowded. And here I feel like there's plenty of space. It's kind of made almost like it's made for this particular board, even though they were purchased separately. Here's kind of a look of them, the pieces already, in the opening position. I definitely think that this particular chess set is worth the money, especially if you want to have something really nice and have this sort of nice experience. I bought this chess set with a chess board so that I could play with my kids later on when they grow a little bit older, and I felt like this was a good investment, since with time I feel like this particular type of chess set will only get more expensive. So overall, yeah, very nice. Okay, anyways, thanks guys for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and conclude. Hope you liked this video. I'm looking forward to doing more videos in the future with different chess sets. Let me know if there's any particular chess sets that you would like for me to take a look at and maybe do some reviews. I really enjoyed this particular chess set, and like I said, I don't have a lot of time right now to play it with my kids, and my kids are still pretty young, but when I play it with my friends, it's definitely very nice to play this. Like, you don't get too caught up in the fact that it's such a fancy chess set that you shouldn't be playing it. It's actually made in such a way that you feel like you just forget and you play a normal game. So, like, as in comparison, if you get out those like glass chess sets, you can't help but be distracted by the fact that everything's sort of weird and unusual looking. Or this is very, very nice overall. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you can. I would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, everybody stay safe and have a good rest of the day. Bye.